Hello. Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to the class. Right. We have 13. Alright, it's time to start. So today we will talk about the business process in the organization and how to use the information systems to support. So in this chapter we will have two sessions. The first one we talk about the something regarding the business process and the use of information system, and then we have a quiz for the first session, and then following that will be a some specific some advanced information systems like ERP in the benefit of using ERP, and then we have another quiz. So for this chapter we have 2 quizzes, and following the first this chapter will be the chapter about the social media information systems, and finally we talk a little bit about the business intelligence. So first of all we talk about chapter 7 process, the organization and information system. Okay, so whenever we run the business, or we, even like we do a small one like startup, we always deal with the problem that's the problem to answering the question like what service, right, or products we bring to the market, we offer to the customers, and how we make benefit or get revenue for that, right? Using all the by take advantage everything we may have, including the new technologies, right? So for example, in a company like ACEDnet, they do they build a platform to support online fitness center, and they make possible the virtual environment for people practicing, like run a bike virtually, and they can interact, the customer or the user in the system can interact together through a virtual environment. So that's what the ACEDnet does, and then they also try to add more value by using the new technology, and this will be a useful use case for the chapter. So in this chapter, first of all, we talk about the business process. We classify them into different types, and then how we can use the information system in order to improve the business process quality, and also point out some challenges regarding the use of the information system, like information silos. Okay, and finally we talk some modern information system like CRM, ERP, and AI, and also talking about the future. We make some guesses, right, for the future, like 2027, what will happen. Right. So what is a business process? It's simply like a sequence of activity. Like each process is a sequence of activity in order to deal with a given task in the business. Okay, a given service, a given job, a given task the business should do in order to support or to serve the customer. So here, for example, we have a task of placing an order. Okay, so this will help customer to place an order. So the sequence of the activity should be like, first of all, we need to check the inventory. So if the customer comes to the website and then select an item, we need to check to make sure that the item is still available in the store, right? And next, if we succeed with finding some item for customer, and we go next. Otherwise, we need to tell the customer that it's impossible to do the transaction because out of stock, for example, and asking them to come back later. So in case we have the item in the store, we can tell the customer about the item, then also run the checking customer credit, okay, like everything, including the credit card or the other payment methods the customer may use. And finally, if everything goes pass through well, then we approve the order, right? And we place the order, and then send the customer about the confirmation, or the confirmation like wherever, right? So this is a very simple process regarding the customer order, and it includes consists of 3 activities, and maybe in other tasks, in other job in the business or in the organization, we may have more activity and more complicated things. Okay, and so in a company, we may have many different business process, many different such things, and they can be classified into 2 groups. The first one is a group of structure process. So that's very well known, organized, okay, and clear. So it's step by step, super clear, and have to be each step will be done in a like to follow a very specific standard, right? So it's clear. So like if the item exists, we can do the order. If the credit is above somehow, or if the credit card is accepted, and then we can do the next step, for example, something very clear like this. So that's make a structure process. Besides, we have something like non-structure or dynamic process. So in business, sometimes we have some process like that. For example, in business management decision making, sometimes like at the strategic level or at the tactical level, we usually have some decision that's not always the same. Okay, not always the same from context to context or from time to time. For example, this week may have we want to make a decision about the inventory. We want to restock like 100 items, but the next week the decision may differ, right, depending on the market situation. So such a process or such a decision making process somehow not structured or dynamic, right? It's very depending on the context and also depending on the situation at the time doing the process. So usually we have most of process are structured, but some of them, like at the management level, higher level, like tactical or strategic, we do have the dynamic process. And for the information system, the only structure process will be handled. Okay, so when we talk about the information system and the process, this means that we talk about the structure process, because for dynamic process we not discuss in this class. Okay, this is another like it comes to another context. Like when you take a class about the business management, you can study learn more about that. Okay, and remember the process, even they are structured, they may differ from company to company, right? Different from department to department. For example, in the sales and marketing department, we have some process. Okay, and even they have the same job, the same task like customer management, but it's may different from company to company. Okay, or in the operation department, we may have some process like this. Okay, on the entry or the management and so on, but it's also different from company to company. And similarly in the manufacturing and in the accounting, human resource management as well, we do have many different process like for them, and also differ from one company to other. Okay, so and you can say that for some department like accounting, we do have a lot of processes, because that depending on how complicated the work in the department are, and then we do have many different process. Okay, So that's first thing we see about the process. So process is set up the activity. Here we assume that they are structured, because if they are not, we not discuss about them here, okay, in the context of information system study. So with the use of the information, we need to classify the process into the level, right? Into the level, small or the scope. It's like the how big, okay, the process to deal with. So the process may be like from a group, right? A group of people in the information system or in the business. Okay, for example, for healthcare. Now, speaking of the healthcare eco, we can see that the first scope, like smallest one, right? That's a group of the doctor doing some examination and issuing some like prescriptions. So we have a first group of the processes, okay, and a little bit like higher or in a larger, right? In a bigger scope, we have hospital, okay, or enterprise. So hospital is a set up many groups like that, right? Many group of doctors to deal with many different patients, okay, many different users. So they do have more processes, right? And the thing like more complicated. And then like larger than that, we have a set of hospitals, right? So all the clinics work together, including like hospital, pharmacy, and so on, right? Come together like that. We have another scope like enterprise. Okay, so that's so more and more using more and more complicated processes, because now the process not just happen in one group or in one department or in one company, but across multiple organizations. Okay, so that's the characteristics of the process when you use the information system to deal with. Okay, so whenever we do the business process, we always think about how to make the process more efficient, more effective, okay, more effective or efficient. So such criteria make us think about how to improve the process quality. Okay, so in order to check and to improve, we need some metrics. Here we do have some metrics to measure the quality of a given process. First of all, we have the index of ratio efficiency, okay, process efficiency. So it will measure how much output we make given the inputs. Okay, so the more output we make, the higher efficiency we have, right? And the second index is effectiveness, process effectiveness. So how well we achieve we achieve the organizational strategy or the business strategy. Okay, we have the goal, right? We have the plan. Whenever we have the goals or purpose, objective. Whenever we do the business, so whenever we run the process, we measure how it adapt or it complete our plan, for example. So these two indices help us to determine whether to or not to improve the process quality. Okay. So how to improve it? Improve, like given a process with the 3 steps, like the orders process we see in the previous slides. We can improve by making things faster, for example, or online or easier for the customer to place the order, or even asking less information from the customer, because if asking more, a lot of things making take time, and then customer may feel like unhappy and they quit before finalize the process. Okay, so the improvement of the process can be done using either, first of all, change the process structure. So we can restructure the process. We can reduce the number of the steps or the activities. Okay, if we have more than 4 or 5, so we need to check, because regularly the process should around like 5 steps at most. Okay, if we have more, we need to remove or reduce. Right, so that way we restructure the process, or we may change the process resource. So if the process asks a lot, we need to think about that. Okay, like when customer place an order, we ask them everything like their customer, their personal information, and also their address, their email, telephone number, and their office address or whatever, a lot of things. So that makes hard for the customer to do the order. So we need to change like we reduce the question asking them, and then we may also improve the process by apply both of them. Okay, so that means we can change the structure of the process, or we can change the resources of the process. Okay, so that way we can improve. So that's the way that the approach, right, the method to improve the process. But when we use the when we use the information system, how can we do it? So that's very easy, right? For example, if we want to ask the customer less, so we need to get them through some other system. Okay, for example, when the customer log into the system, we can ask them like log in using Facebook, right? So once they log through Facebook, and then we have everything about them, like the email, their name, and then some other information, even telephone number, right? Cell phone number, or address, or all the personal information as well. So that's where we apply the technology to reduce or to change the process resource. Okay. Regarding the process structure, we can re-engineer the process that we do all the time, because day by day we need to improve the system, so we need to make things simpler by doing this. Okay. Okay. So remember that with the help of the information system, we can do we can make possible the improvement of the business processes. Okay. So one thing we usually have is, because in the company we may have many different departments, right? So every department want to do the process improvement, okay, in order to help the user or the customer better. And then they have their own database, they have their own process, right? Business processes. They have everything. So now among the department, we have no connection. So when customer come to work with the department of sales and marketing, and then after that, when they have to pay something, they go to the department of accounting or finance, and then at these two departments, they have to redo the thing like enter the personal information in order to have the system recognize them. And then the customer say, oh, that's weird, because why should I do the same thing with two different departments in the same company, right? So that somehow shows us that a problem with the company system. The problem we call the information silos. Okay, information silo. So information silo is somehow like we cannot make possible the information sharing or data sharing among different departments in the same company. Okay, and then therefore we may deal with the problem of data duplicated. Okay, so data duplicated, that means one customer may have two profiles in two departments, right, in the same company, right? And then because they have two profiles, if one day they just come and work with the Department of Finance, and for some reason they change their ID, right, their picture or whatever, they just simply do with the Department of Finance and Accounting, but they didn't do that with the sales department. So therefore the two profiles now no longer match, right, because the picture of the customer different from department to department. So that way we call the data have problem with inconsistencies. So that's the data inconsistency, right? It's not like consistent. It's different. It's like not say the same thing about one object, right? One person. And then that also shows us how the data is isolated, right, from department to department, and that make the process like uncontinuous, right? Disjoint process. So we cannot like do a process smoothly from one department to another to the other because they separated, right? They isolated. Okay. And all other problem like inconsistency and redundancy like that, we call the problem with the integrity, right? So that's the integrity problem in the database of the company. So here, that's all the things regarding the information silo. Okay, that problem. And then we need to think about how to remove them, yeah? Remove the information silo, because if it's there, it may cause a lot of problems. So here you can see some problem, like making the data redundancy, making the data like inconsistency, or making the process destroy among different departments, right? From sales marketing to accounting, we don't have any connection among them, and a lot of other problems you can like think about that. So you can see this problem happen in the U.S. university, right? You come to the U.S. and you can see that whenever you go to the student department and then you go to another department, I'm sure that you have to do something to update. Or even in our university, we have a system of LMS, right? But it doesn't good enough to support everything. So now we use like Google Meet. We also use the Microsoft Teams. We also use blah 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 things, and then they not work together. Okay, so that problem with the silos. That means information silos problem, and we need to address it. In the company, we have to address, to tackle it, okay? Because if not, and then you can see a number of problems might happen, like we see in the previous slides. Okay. So how to address how to tackle, or how to solve the problems of information silo? We have 3 different approaches. The first one is to integrate all the database, all the data into a single one. Okay, that's the first approach. That's very good, or maybe considered the best one, making everything easy later. That's the first approach. The second one is to revise the application. So you need to modify the application a little bit in order to let them talk to each other. That's the second one. This is like good enough, but not like the best one as the first one. And finally, if we can make possible the first 2 things, first 2 approaches here, we can use the third one. So now the third one is we accept isolation, right? We accept the disjoint among different departments, but we then try to manage them in order to let them to talk to each other. It's harder. Yeah. So here is 3 approaches, and then we will go through them one by one and see how the information system change using these 3 approaches. Okay. So now back to the problem of healthcare, right? Like we have the scope of the group, companies, or enterprise here, or inter-enterprise. So for an example, it's very easy like this. Like a robot doctor, right? Will like when a patient come and visit a doctor, and then the doctor will issue a prescription, right? Prescription. Prescription where? Okay, like cái toa thuốc, prescriptions. And then with the prescription, you need to go to the pharmacy. So here we don't go to the hospital, for example. We go to the pharmacy, and then we need to get the drug, right? So go to a local store. Here we have pharmacy here. Okay, go to the pharmacy, and then we have to get the thing, drug, for example. And then we need to show the prescription so that the pharmacist can give you the medicine. And then after you have the medicine, and then you can like use it, right? And then we need to inform the other department or the other enterprise about that, about this patient already take the medicine. Okay, so if there are any other pharmacy, they should not give the patient anymore, right? So for example, if they get some sleeping pill, don't give them more. So in order to do that, you can see here all the organizations should work together at different levels. Right? The first one at the group level, and then the second one at the enterprise level. Okay, and next one at enterprise, right, among different enterprise, to make sure that nothing wrong happen. Okay, right. So how to make it? Later we can see the solution for this, but this is the problem. And then you can say that at the level of the enterprise, we may use some like modern information system like CRM, ERP, or EAI, right? And then for the last level, the highest level here, among different enterprises, we cannot like asking them to use the same or the unique information system like ERP, but asking them to use somehow like a distributed system, okay? But with the help of the web service or the cloud service or whatever, okay? So this is very important, you know that, because when patients have a prescription, and then once they go to the pharmacy, and then if they get the medicine, and then do not allow them to get any more, okay? Do not allow them to get more medicines for that. And like I said, if they in the prescription allow them to use some sleeping pill, and then they can get enough by one pharmacy, they are not allowed to get more at the other pharmacies. Okay, so in the US, they always do it. So if you go to one pharmacy, whatever, you can go to CVS, we can go to Walgreens, we even go to Walmart, wherever you want to go to, you get the pharmacy, you get the medicine, and then you cannot get more, because on the thing you got already updated to the system, okay? And then they do using this model, right? In Vietnam, we don't see it, right? In Vietnam, when you have a prescription, you can get sleeping pill here, or you can go some other store, some other pharmacy, you get more, like you get 100, and then you feel sad and you consume all them at the same time. That's bad, right? So we see how the information system can help to manage everything like this easily. So now we talk about the information silo, right? And then we see that many systems can work together in order to solve the information silo in order to help to complete one like high hertz and very complicated processing. So here we have an example of a process. This is a process of patient discharge. Okay, so when the doctor say okay to go, and then they need to send the patient home, so they should go through a number of activities across multiple enterprises here, and then you can see here an example. So from the hospital, they go through many different organizations, and when come home, all of these activities should be booked, okay, stored in the somehow database of the enterprise. Okay, it looks like we talk with the healthcare system before. Okay, so many steps like this. Okay. So like we see that whenever we want to improve the business process, we always think about how to restructure it. Okay, so here we have a term of the re-engineering. So business process re-engineering is somehow we restructure. The purpose of this work is to improve the quality of the process. Okay, quality of process. So you can say that we can try to restructuring or re-engineering the process in order to make the thing like faster, right, more effective, and then more efficient. Okay, so that's the reason that we do the re-engineering, and then that's including the restructure the step, reduce the resource used by the process, for example, and then use the existing information out there instead of asking a lot, for example. So all of this somehow like we call the business process re-engineering. Okay. All right. So for to support the work of the different model of the process in the business, we have some modern information system. So here the first one is the CRM, Customer Relationship Management. So this is simply a information system that supports the customer care, right? So customer care. So this very specific one. It takes the customer at the center, right? It concentrate on the customer. But in the business, or some business, they're not doing that, right? The concentration may be different from business to business. So they need something like more generic, okay? Generic or very general. So we have the second one, ERP, Enterprise Resource Planning. So this is somehow the name not like saying anything about the system. The system here is like a very generic, a very big information system that help the business or the company to deal with everything in the business. Okay, so like all the things like finance, marketing, sales, or manufacturing, all of these will be done using this system. So this is a powerful one. And finally, we have something like the enterprise application integration. Integration here is a special information system that can help with upgrading to ERP. Okay, and we will talk about these three next. So first of all, for customer relationship management, it's very easy, right? Simply like help to manage the customer and also to do something regarding the marketing, right? So we need to know how to get contact with them, keep them engaged with us, and tell them, because if we lose the customer, and then the capital can go on like Facebook when they lose user, and then they lose a lot of money, for example. So the CRM simply help us with that to deal with the customer. And if we keep the customer, we have the customer, and then we still in the market. If we have no customer, and then we out. And here, the site and system usually support for some business where the customer is the concentration, right? So that's just simply for customer-centric organizations. And so here is the way we take care of the customer. So you get know them, provide them the service, making care of them, and then get in touch with them later. So that is the last cycle we usually use to deal with the customer. Okay, only do this one by one, and remember, always renew, make fresh thing. So that's the way we take care of the CRM. And in order to do that, the CRM will support with the use of the customer database, CRM database. And once the customer in the center, we surround by some activity like sales, marketing, or relationship management, support, and all things, right? A lot of things. So that how the CRM can help with the business information management. So like I said, beside of the customer-centric organization, we may do have many other organizations. They're not using that approach. They not concentrate on the customer, right? They may like somehow differ. So they may use the order information system which is ERP. Okay, we know that's the name of that, enterprise planning. So ERP in fact is set up application, okay, put together and maybe organize later if you want to, in order to deal with everything in the company. Okay, so here you can see that the ERP have a core here is core, and then we simply call that the database and also the core application as well. So surround the core will be like surrounded by many different app, okay, for the sale, app for relationship management, app for customer management, support, accounting, blah blah blah, a lot, right? So surrounding by many things like this. And then the benefit we have from using the ERP is that we can put any thing surround to the core, right? So you can build the ERP from the core like accounting, okay, or we may also make the core by customer CIM, customer relationship management, or whatever. So ERP is more flexible compared with the CIM, right? Better one. Okay. So that's the ERP. So when we say that we can take any component surround the core as a center, right? Like put the customer here as center, put accounting here, finance here as center. So that means we change the structure of the process, business processes. Okay, because when we make that means we redefine the processes. Because now we have different strategy, right? Because when we change the structure, that means we change the strategy of the company. By this time, the company like pay attention on the user, on the customer, but maybe the next time they pay attention on some other thing, or they make core by using some other thing. So that means we need to restructure the thing or the process. So once we do that in the company, who will be responsible for that? So here, remember, when we need to change or to fix some workflow, okay, sequence of thing or process, like we need to ask who will be responsible. And then here, remember, that's not the responsibility of the computer programmer, because the computer science have no idea about the business activity, right? Have no idea about how business run. The network engineer, he simply like taking care of the network, right? Network infrastructure. He's not responsible for the business process re-engineering, no, okay? The database administrator, we learn about this, right? The guy who manages the database in the business. He have no idea about the business activity, right? He just have with storing the data and manipulate the data, get back, making a report, and whatever happen later, he have no idea. So don't ask the responsibility for these guys. But the responsibility is from the businessman, okay? The CEO or the high level manager. In fact, that's the businessman, okay? Like you guys, business students, in the future you will be responsible for this, okay? So that's why you need to learn the information system. You know about that. You will not like coding or developing them, but you know what the information system is, how it works, how to revise it, how to customize it, right? To meet to make the possible the business strategy activity. And you will do this, okay? You will guide to re-engineering, to re-organization, or to re-structure of the business process. And how to do it effectively, you need the help of a business analyst, okay? The analyst, the guy who analyzes everything, not only the data, but also the business activities, okay? So you will need the help from that guy in order to do the re-engineering, Okay, so even if in the future we do like digital transformation, okay, we also need the help. That asks the responsibility from the manager, okay, or the CEO, not from the computer software and hardware like we see here. No. Okay. So that's some introduction about the modern information system like ERP and CRM. We will talk next with the EAI. Okay. But now for the ERP, we may have an example to see how ERP can help with the information silos problem solving. So here we know about this, right? Because in some other slides we already talking about the how the business make value, how the value made by the business process. So here we see a manufacturer, bike manufacturer. So they have many departments, right? Logistics, manufacturing, sales, marketing, and customer service. Okay, so each department will have its own database, right? So the problem here is because we have like 5 database here, and then that make information silo problems. Okay, so that's problem because like the customer service cannot have the information about how the bicycle the bike were made, right? Or about the material used, or about the inventories, right? Information about of the bike. So that much hard for the sales and marketing as well as the customer service to serve the customer, right? So now we need to use the ERP. We see how ERP can help with that. So from this model, you can see that with the ERP, they do something different like this. They put, okay, they get all the database into one, okay, put them into one. One here we call the ERP database, which may be in the cloud or somewhere, but it combines all the database available in the business, in the company, right? So now every department have access to the ERP database. So the customer service and the sales and the marketing department may connect to the database and learn about the and get information about any bike, right? Any bike, like how they were produced, how they re-inventory or restock, and how they sell out and use and where they are now, for example. So every information they can get using from such a combination, right? Combination database. So that make possible of the solving the information silo problems, right? So here is a very good example of using ERP in a business. You can see that. So different from prior traditional information system don't have this, but now with the ERP we have everything in one. Okay, so that's cool. That's cool if we use the ERP, right? And then not only that, ERP can have more. Okay, not only that, with the ERP we may have more things, like now ERP can help us to make a very powerful dashboard. Okay, dashboard. So that's a very like dynamic report saying everything about the company. It's very helpful because not only for the operational manager but also for tactical and also strategic manager, because they can see the current and also predict or prepare for the future using the dashboard like this. So here the dashboard can help us to show the whole picture, the entire picture of the business, or maybe a part of that depending on the department, right? So the ERP, first of all, the first cool, very good benefit we can get from using ERP is that dashboard, right? And then something more, but we only have one example like this. Remember, with using the ERP we have a lot of things more. Dashboard, some other information system, modern information system as well. All right. So so far we talked about the business process, right? How to improve them, and how to make it like improvement possible using modern information system. And we talk about some like CIM, ERP, and what make possible information silo solving, problem solving using the ERP, and what more benefits we can have from using ERP, like the dashboard like this. Okay. So this is the first section of the chapter, and like I said, we will have a quiz, okay, for this session. So now you need to get ready. I will load the quiz. Quiz coming. Chapter 7, session 1. Ready now? I will load the second question and send it now. Okay, so that's for the first session of the chapter number 7, and then I'll be back to this presentation. So we already talked about the CRM and ERP, and then I hope that in the school, in the university, you also have a class about ERP, right? It's like introduction about the ERP or how to use ERP in the business. Yeah, and you know that that's a very modern information system in the business these days, in the company these days, and then many organizations using it. And then we may have many benefits. At least we have a very cool dashboard, right? CL, like we draw the entire picture about the business health, business status, current status, or business activities, everything. So at different level of the manager, like top level, middle level, we can see and get information about business on time, real time. Now we talk about EAI, Enterprise Application Integration. What is it? So now we talk about the second approach with to show the problem of information silos. So in case we cannot combine all the database into one, so what can we do? Now we still have database separately for different departments. So we try to connect them. So each department like ACEDnet, right? And then we try to connect them in order to make them to help them to share the data to each other. Okay. So in order to do that, we try to build a layer of application. So EAI simply have a simple layer of application that let the information systems from different departments to talk to each other to share the data. All right. And remember that this system is somehow temporary. We not use it forever because it's just like a step in order to go to ERP. So finally we need to move to ERP, but because it takes time, right? It's hard to do at once. So we need to have some middle step to move, making sure that everything works smooth and the company still work well, because if we don't try to interrupt it to make it collapse. So this information somehow like a medium, right, to go to ERP. Okay, so here is the model of the system, the EAI. So you can say that every department have their own systems, no problem. Now we build a layer called the EAI layer, which may run on the EAI server, and then with a database. The database simply like, it's not a business transaction, it's not transactional database, it's just simply like the meta database. Okay, so that describes how the data can be shared among different departments, simply like that. So whenever a CRM department want to customer department want to get some information or some data from the accounting system, they can talk with the EAI server, right, and then get the data. Okay, so it's very cool using this way. It's cool, and you can see that many companies like I know that like VMware or Salesforce or even the Core, VN Core in Vietnam, they also use this approach. So they allow every system in the business, in the company, working separately but talking to each other easily. Okay, so that's a good model. However, this model may like not effective, because whenever we need an information from one department, it should talk with the EAI first, and then the EAI go to the source of the data source, and then get the information and then send back to the requester, and then it may take time, right? For example, when we do some online business, customer come asking help or placing new order, they may wait some time, right? Because the system need to run back and forth from one to another, getting the information and then turning into the right form and send back to the request or the customer. So that's not effective, right? Not effective, and that cannot like as good as ERP, because now we need to accept the second approach. That means somehow worse, not really worse, but it's not as good as. Okay, so this, however, this approach help with the information silo problem, so it's good. And then in a EAI we have all the things like this, so we don't have very specific model or component for this guy. Okay. So now back to the ERP system. So as we know that the ERP is super good, right? To allow to do the information system management for all the department in the company, right? So in fact, ERP is an information system. So it also have the component like a traditional one. So it have 5 components, right? The first one is the hardware. Second one is the software. But now, very specific software, very special software named ERP application program. Okay. Then it also have the database, but now a very special database, the ERP database. And also the process, right? Here the business process or procedure. And then the people, but now with the ERP, which is the training and consulting. Okay, so in the ERP system we have the people, not the people using, but the not the people take part in the system, but people using it. So training, consulting, like you know that we need to make possible the use it, the effective use of the system. You need to do the training, consulting, in order to write them to the right ERP, regarding the business needs. Okay. All right. So the most important things here is which ERP application the business can use. Remember that these days we do have many ERP providers out there. Right? I'm sure you learn about that and you know a lot of ERP. And here is a list of the providers for ERP software. Okay, you can check it. And when you get the ERP software from some provider, you need to learn about, you need to read about the manual, right? To see if it fit to the business, and then also to understand everything about the components or the elements in the systems, including the hardware, the software or the application, the database, okay, the business process, procedures, and also training and consulting as well. Okay, so that's very important, because now it's not only the people but also how the people using the system is very important. Right, so we have product from SAP, we have product from Microsoft, we have product from ACEDnet, yeah, a very well known one. They have the French and the office in Vietnam. The Oracle, right? They do have. So we have many ERP vendors. So here, let's have them. They have some good, some bad things, but overall they can help us to run the ERP system in the company. Okay. Yeah, And then whenever using such a modern information system like ERP, we also we show the problem of information silos, but then we also face with other problems, because problem all the time, right? When we do business, we deal with problems all the time. So here is the problem about implement and upgrading, okay? Because all of this might hurt the usage of the new technology in the business. So some problem or challenges like collaborating, management, requirement gaps, transition problem, like when we switch from one to another, is as right, I plan to do one by one in order to reach the goal. And also we have problem with the employee resistance. It's always because people hate learning new things, okay? But now we need to deal with that, so it's also a problem. And new technology, because new technology somehow like lack of information. Sometimes we don't know everything about the technology. We use them, maybe we have problem. No sound, we help me with this. All right, let me restart your computer. That's it. Okay. I hope you have it access already. Sorry, I didn't. Okay. If you have question, please post to the chat box so I can see it right now. Right here. Okay. Good now. Three. The string on gray, and there is no sound. So the problem is you have the internet connection broken, maybe. Okay, hope it works now. Okay, back to the slide. So that means when you can see that we have problem, right? Right? Like we have problem with the information silo, and then we upgrade the system to more than one, and then whenever we upgrade the system, and then we have to deal with other challenges, okay, like we have here on it, yeah. But it's like somehow like trade-off, right? We get this and we need to lose that, but we need to balance them, making the better thing in order to like we sacrifice something to get something, okay. So when we upgrade, we no longer have problem with information silos, but we then have problem with other, okay, on the time. But it's not hard to solve this problem, like how to solve the problem of the employee resistance. Like you have a proper training program, right? Making them like familiar with the new technology by using a proper training program. We have new technology, you may like have some consultant, right? They can come to help, or maybe you can train the employee in order to deal with the new technology. So we have many different ways to deal with this problem. It's not really hard compared with the problem met by information silos, because that's harder, and then it's impact the business performance. Okay. So that's we talked about the two approach already, right? The first one from ERP, the second one approach where we make a layer, application layer, and short a system name EAI, right? So now we go to the third approach. The last one is enterprise. Okay, so now we have many enterprise join together in order to support a very big process, right? Something happen across multiple enterprise. Like I said, a patient bring the prescription to the pharmacy from the doctor, right? So that means he go across two different companies, right? And also getting the medicine, and after that he should not be able to get more medicine. wherever he wants, wherever pharmacy he visits, right? So that means we run a checking process across multiple companies. So how can they make we make this possible? How can we inform every pharmacy know that this patient get enough medicine, no more? So that will be done using this approach. So now this approach, the enterprise information systems, that can that allows every company use their own system. Okay, we do not ask them to come together to use only one. They have their own system, but such system will talk together using web service, right? So here we asking how to avoid the information silo. We simply ask these three systems to talk to each other. So how can we make that possible? We use web service, right? Last time we learned about web service, right? An application that accepts a request and reply something in the format like JSON or XML or whatever, right? But the most popular format these days is JSON, right? So after they get the JSON, they can analyze the content in there and get to know what they need, for example. So using the web service, one company can talk with the other. Okay. So for example, now you go, you use Momo, right? The online payment methods, right? So when you go shopping at Tiki, right? And then you get some item, and then once check out, you simply select Momo, and then the system from Tiki will send you back to Momo. Momo get to work with you, confirm the amount of money you need to pay, and after that, and then the Momo send you back to the Tiki. So you see now we have two systems, one from Tiki, the other from Momo, talking to each other, making sure that you pay Tiki the right amount of money in order to get the item, right? So after the job done, you have a receipt, right? A confirmation that you done, and then just waiting for the item come to your door. That's it, right? So here we don't ask Momo and Tiki using the same system. They have their own systems, but these two systems can talk to each other because we use web service. Okay, so that's a very good model. In this case, we want to do across company process, like the process I just told you about other item online and based using the Momo, for example. Alright, so here example at the AR address. Okay, address system also do like that. They combine many different companies to support the customer with a lot of services. Okay, so that's why. Alright, so that's about the three approach we can use to deal with the information silo. Remember, information silo is it's hurtful because it make destroy the process. Somehow we need the help from many different companies, but then the information silo can stop us from doing that. So that's bad, right? So we need the help with the information silo problem, and here we have three approaches, very useful. So like a businessman, you need to know that. You only need to know that. You do not need to know how to do it, how to implement it, but you need to know how the solution for it. Okay, because your manager, you should know that, and you can figure out how you need to repair. So like you need to hire someone to do that, or you need to outsource to other companies, tech company to do the thing for you. But remember, we have three approach, and we already have three information system models for that. Okay. In the future, sure, we live in the digital age these days, and in the future, cloud computing, right? So ERP will go to the cloud. Any other models, information system models, will go to the cloud, and then everything like easier, better, because now they can talk each other easily in the cloud, and you just like sending the request to the cloud, and everything will be done there, more secure, faster. Okay, so that's the future. Future will be cloud. Okay. But in return, when we have many things shared among different company, different department, okay, different individual, we likely have more problem with personal information security, right? Because now your information will be shared among many different entities, right? And then somehow you go to Momo, go to Tiki, getting something, and one day or another, and then you can say your information, not your information, but many other companies try to contact with you, asking you if you want more thing. You say, what? I have never visited them. How can they know me? All right, that's because your personal information will leak, right? Yeah, that's problem. So how to avoid that? The first thing is you need to know how to secure your information. Okay, so we will talk about that in a chapter about the information security. The second problem is we expect to have more policies, okay, regulations. So that's not our job. That's from the government. They need to work with the big or high-tech companies to make sure nothing happen with the personal information to the customers. Right, that's the future. We need to know about that. And yeah, that's it for this chapter number 7. We learned something new about information system with the modern one like CRM, ERP, and EAI, and also we learn about how we do the enterprise processes using the web service. And you can have some idea about how you can shopping online, but by using the method like Momo, PayPal, or blah blah blah, a lot of things, right? VNPay, a lot of payment methods out there. And then we also talk a little bit about the future, 2027, right? So that's done for this slide. And then now we will do, I also do some review for you on the second session of the chapter. And now we're about to have some quiz. I will be sending it now. So get ready now. So submit your work, and I will be sending the second question for the session. now more chance for you to get the best results. I send the question for session number 2 third time. Alright, so that's it for the chapter number 7. And then as many of us have problem when doing the quiz with the chapter 0 and chapter 1, now I will be resend some question for the chapter 0 and chapter 1. First will be the question for chapter 0. Submit your work now and get ready for the question of chapter 1. All right. So now we're back to the slide, to the presentation here. Chapter number 8. So in this chapter, we discuss about the social media and how to use it in the information system, making the social media information system for the business. So all of us know very well about the social media. For example, some social networks we use so far, like Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, or Google Plus. So they are simply like many users come together, making the post, sharing the idea, and then interact to each other. Even like using the private manager, or like sharing the feeling like hate, love, whatever, regarding the thing people make available on this social network, right? So that's a good place for everyone, because you can share, you can learn, enjoy things, and we're not talking about the negative things. We talk about positive, and then we see that social network have a lot these days. Okay, especially for the young people, right? Like students, they can come there to learn and then to build their relationship. That's good. Then now we think about how to use the social network in the business. Okay, because now we know that the relationship, right, is somehow can build the thing. Many successful business learn the lesson from using that, making that. So how can we use it in the information system of the company? So here an example of the ACEDnet. ACEDnet use the social network in order to connect their users, okay, and in order to build a virtual environment so that the user can join, like virtual riding, or like virtual biking, and sharing the experience, right, about doing the biking or other fitness activities. Okay. So in this chapter, we discussed about the social media information system, how it can advance the organizational strategy, how it can increase the social capital, how it can help the companies to earn, right, something, to make money, and how the company can use them effectively, and also what challenging problem the business may have when using social media information system, and what happened in the future, like 2027. So all the things regarding the social network and the user we discuss in this chapter. Okay. So first of all, we introduce about the social media. Okay, everything social, virtually, we call social media. Like here, I think you guys know about that, so I do not need to talk about. So what is a social media information system? It's a very special information system because it allows user sharing the content, right, among different networks. Among different networks, not just one. So that means you can have the user in the system sharing the content across Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and LinkedIn, for example. Right? That's a very special one. Sharing the information from the user, the content made by the user across multiple social networks. So there we can say you can see that with the shared model, sharing the thing, collecting the thing, we see we can have everything just come in one. That makes powerful system, right? Marketing, communication, organization theory, MS, blah blah blah, come together. So using the social media information system, you can have like something like a very universal environment in order to deal with your, in order to support your business strategy. It's very cool, right? And more, not just like this. So why should we care about the use of the social media? These days, people using the social media a lot, right? And then here's some report recently made by blah 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 here, and this no one vision. Okay, so you can see that the number of users from social network increased year by year and very high in this 2016 and more these days. Maybe it's the last 2 weeks we see some problem with the Facebook, but not matter because it just happened. They also Facebook will come back and thing. And also the other social network like Google, Twitter, blah blah blah, they use a lot. So that's why the business should jump into this. Okay, don't stay out. If you stay beside and then you lose the chance. Okay, and remember, business always remember that always apply the new technology, or else we learn a lesson from Blockbuster, right? Long time ago I talked about that. Blockbuster has not applied the new technology like streaming in order to do the DVD renting, right, services. So that's why they bankruptcy in 2014 and replaced by Netflix, right? So always think about the technology and use them in the business. Okay. So in a social media information, what we need to have, first of all, we need the social media provider. So we ask Facebook, we ask Twitter, we always ask them, get them, okay, connect to them. So in a system like the website I'm making here, you can see that whenever you want to log in, you do not need to do registration with me, right? You simply like log in using your Facebook account or your Google account, that's it. And then you can join the system. I'm not asking you to do registration before because I want to make simple the thing. So that's, I improve the process quality, right? Using the social media. And the second part of the social media information system is user always. Why need we why we connect to the social network? Because we want to get the user there, right? The group, the people, the communities. If the social network have no user, I never talk that, right? I never do business with it. So that the main reason we connect to the social media is the user, and beyond we have community, right? So the community like set up user there, and very clear in a very clear context, right? So when you go there, you have group of people. You can easily know or identify what the group of people is about, right? They may be a group of students of the class, or they may be the group of IBC students, right? Because most of them are IBC students. That's it. Simply like this. Or maybe because depending on their location, right? They're from Ho Chi Minh City, for example, or they are from South Vietnam. So that's the thing we benefit from the social media and making now turn out to be the properties of the social media information systems. Okay. So talking about the user community, you know about that. It's a set of people have connection, have very good or strong relationship. Okay. So when you go to social media, you get some group, and then you can easily make sure that you can absolutely make sure that people in the same group have a very strong relationship of connection, right? Because if they are not, they're not coming to one community. They will join another, or they leave the community easily. Okay, so the first thing have with the community is a set up a similar member or user. That's cool thing we can get from the social media. Okay. So at the moment we do have many social media providers with application support, API support like Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn. So all of these providers have application and have API providers, make easy the integration the social media into the business social information system. Okay. You can see now it's easy, like from your system, your business information system, we share the content to the user, right, using the Facebook or using the tweet, right, Twitter tweet easily. So that helps the business or the company to spread the brand name, right, of the company. Okay. So that's the reason we need the social media information system in the companies, in the organization. So this is a very special one. So what is there any difference from the social media information system with the traditional one? We can say that basically they have the same thing, the 5 components we learned so far: hardware, software, data, procedure, and people. But because of the integration with the social media, they do have some specific or special feature regarding these 5 components, right? So for the hardware, first of all, for the hardware, traditional information system only have the hardware in the company, right? In the company or in the organization, like the server in the cloud or in the office, on in-house, on premise, and then the desktop in the office, right? Only that. But for the social media information system, they do have the hardware including the user device. Okay, so now the user device will be a part of the system because they join the community, right? They come together with the system, so their device will be a part. So simply like this, now you join the website, right, with me for the presentation. So now your device, your desktop will be a part of the system. Because now from my system, I can control the thing on your computer, right? Asking you to reload the slide, entering the information system, personal information system, or doing some quiz. You can see that, all right? So now the quiz happen on your computer, in fact, support them and support the work of the system. Okay, so something different here. Okay, hardware including the user device, software as well. So the software here, not only the software in the company, but also the software running on the user. Like now, you use the browser, right? You use the browser to browse the web, to see the presentation here. The browser from yours, not mine. Okay, you may use whatever, I don't know, but that browser together with the system, my system, to do the job. Okay, so you can see that the software is no longer, it's not only the software from the company, but also the software from the user. Okay, and the data as well, right? The data is not only the data in the business, but also the outside of the business. The data come from user. Procedure and people, the same thing. For the people here, you can say this. Traditional information system, people mean the staff, right? The employees. But for the social media information system, people including the user and community. Okay, so you guys now are part of the system, right? So so in the system I'm running here, not only me but you, because we make a class, right? An online class. So the system, including the people, not only the teacher but also students, users. Okay. So that makes something different. But in fact, social media information system have the 5 components like we see. Okay, 5 one. Okay. So that is the first thing we learn about the social media information. We will take a break and we will resume at 9:15. Remember, right now. And we will resume at 9:15. Right? Yeah. Thank you.